The Chicago Bulls offense is beginning a lot of acclaim for its potential to be elite in 2026. On today's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about that further, plus what Colston Loveland is doing to prepare for a huge season for the Chicago Bears in 2026. And, of course, we got to dive into the mailbag because it's Friday. It means it's mailbag day. We get to hear from your voicemails. You're going to get to all that, plus why Zavion Thomas may not be completely out of the battle to be the wide receiver 3 heading into the season with how his OTAs and mini camps have gone so far. We're about to talk about all that plus more right after this. What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host, Derek Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. And man, the Chicago Bears, as much as their defense, and I went off yesterday on ESPN, and it was well warranted. I take nothing back, and I apologize for nothing. If anybody feels the type of way about it, please come tell them to come see me. So with that said, I went off in regards to yesterday about how the Chicago Bears, defense and, why it does have some legitimate questions. I think some people are missing where the Chicago Bears defense kind of went wrong at last season and with injuries and things like that. The offense has been getting almost acclaim for what it can be, right? Manti Te'o talked about the Chicago Bears offense a little bit on Good Morning Football, and he said this. Ben Johnson has the right hand in the run game. What he has in common with Monangai and DeAndre Swift, that's his right. If you're the Chicago Bears, if you get off track, off pace, off rhythm, Johnson would just go back to that right hand, and he established in his first year. That left hand, that's the flavor. That's the emotion. Do you want me to make it more exciting? Ask Ben Johnson, a.k.a. the conductor, and he gets to the right hand to be consistent because of that run game. The stuff he has with Luther Burden and Rome Odunze, he'll be able to tap into his left hand and make it more exciting for the Bears. I love where they are right now. As long as Johnson has that run game, he'll be just fine. The Chicago Bears run game was one of the most efficient parts of the Chicago Bears offense last year, no doubt about it. We had one of the best rushing attacks in the game of football last year. And when you look at how Monangai was not a major part of the Chicago Bears offense to start off the season, there's just no doubt about it that, it's like the Bears have the capability to have a major upgrade in what they do this season. And I think there's just a better understanding of the offense that all these players are going to have in year 2 as well. There's a lot to look at this Bears team and think, hey, this could be a team that could take it pretty far this year offensively and what they're going to do. But naturally, you can only go so far, even with amazing offense, based on how many stops your defense can get. Because if you have to put up 45, if you have to average 45 points to win games because your defense is giving up 35, that's a little bit harder to maintain when it comes down to it. But it's just no doubt that the Chicago Bears offense, in a large part, is going to be propelled by its run game. We need to be a run-first team, right? Establish our rhythm, our momentum, and demoralize the opposing defense by what you can do in the run game. And, of course, let your passing game come to you more naturally. Set up those mid-passes. Go downfield where you can. But the solid run game helps set all that up. And Ben Johnson is aware of that. And that's why, if you look at Ben Johnson's time over Detroit, the balance between the run and the pass game got better each year that he was there. I would not be surprised to see that here in year 2 also, right? And so that's why I think even a guy like Coleman Bennett, who has a chance, right, to make this roster, and I feel like Roshan may be cut even before training camp. He adds another dynamic to this running attack as well, and that's not a bad thing. Burton Brown could offer that too, right? The Bears are gonna go to the run game, and they're even going to get creative in how they use players like Zavion Thomas and other players in the run game as well. We saw Luther Burden and Rome Odunze have taken handoffs before, so we know that Ben Johnson is not outside the realm of possibility and sensible thinking that the run game is going to be hugely important to the Chicago Bears' overall attack this upcoming year and what we're able to do. And that's what you want to see. There's just no doubt about it. That is exactly what you want to see from this Bears team. We just got to go out there and get it done. And I trust that this team is going to have the right mindset, the right mentality, the right execution to go out there and get this done in this season. But of course, it's not just about the run game. It's big parts of Luther Burden, Rome Odunze, them continue the step they took forward. We're going to talk about Zavion Thomas, but Colston Loveland is a huge part of this, right? We've talked so much about how he he was one of the best players for the Bears last year. Led us in receptions, receiving yards as well, right? His ability to basically be a wide receiver at that tight end position with how good his route running is. And Ben Johnson has already called him one of the most consistent players that he's ever been around, which is glowing praise from a coach like Ben Johnson and some of the offensive talents that he is going to be around. And it was just announced by Nicholas Moreno as well today that Colston Loveland will be attending Tight End University next week. Sam Roush as well will also be in attendance, which I think is really good, right? I think when you have two of your tight ends, Cole Kmet went to a tight end university a few times over his first few years here with the Chicago Bears, but this is something I know it could be overlooked, and I know it could be one of those things that it sounds like a headline without really impacting. But when you look at some of the best tight ends in the game of football, it helps those times. It helps in the past. It's helped Cole Kmet have his breakout season as well. And so now with Colston Loveland set this season to firmly establish himself as one of the best overall tight ends in the game of football, this is exactly what you want to see from him. So, Colston Loveland, anything that Loveland can do to continue to make those steps and strides to be even better for the Chicago Bears, that's exactly what you want to see from him. That's what you kind of come to expect from a player like Colston Loveland. This is not a guy that's going to look at what he did last season and be satisfied. Colston Loveland is going to want to take it a step further. We've already heard his route trees have gone another step as well, which shows that the Chicago Bears, how much more versatile and creative they're going to be, even in how they use him. All those things shape this up to be a pretty big major season for Colston Loveland. And he's one of the guys that can not just be a breakout player for the Bears, but be one of the best breakouts in the NFL next season. I really do feel that for Colston Loveland. Do not be surprised. I said this many times. If Colston Loveland, we're having conversations of him being a top 5 tight end in the entire game of football next season, right? But there's also another wrinkle into that, and that's Zavion Thomas, right? Bleacher Report's Christopher Knox talked about Zavion Thomas, and to not count out Zavion Thomas as potentially being somebody who can win the wide receiver job, saying this: the Chicago Bears made the bold decision to trade away standout receiver DJ Moore early this offseason, but they may already have his replacement in third round Zavion Thomas. The LSU product drew some pre-draft buzz with a 42-second 40-yard dash, which we all know about. However, he'll need to add some polish to his game and be more than just a deep threat novelty in Chicago. So far, his progress is encouraging. Now, the part I disagree with this in, I don't think you can expect Zavion Thomas to be a replacement for what DJ Moore brought to your team. I'm just not going to say that. I don't expect that. I think that's a little too much to put on the young guy, in my opinion, in Zavion Thomas. But I will say this, and this is something that stands out about Zavion in my personal opinion, is that this guy has already impressed in everywhere that he's been, from rookie minicamp to OTAs to the Bears minicamp, and I'm sure that's going to continue in training camp as well. And he's going to have a huge opportunity ahead of him, both in preseason games and in training camp, to further step out. We've already heard Caleb Williams talk about Zavion and say, listen, if Zavion's able to grasp this playbook, which it looks like he's able to do, there's a lot to be said about how much he's going to be a weapon for us next year. Ben Johnson has said similar things, right? We already know that Zavion can be used in the run game. He can be used in the pass game. He can be used all over the field. That's one of the things that makes him such a potential danger here for opposing defenses. But you have to understand the playbook. You have to show that it's more than just speed. You got to be functional in your execution. You got to be consistent in your progress. And you got to warrant that this coaching staff looks at you and say, Zavion is way too talented for us not to get him out there on the field as consistently as what we can. If those things happen, that's what's going to benefit this Bears team. That's what's going to benefit and add another dynamic. Now, I'm not expecting Zavion to win wide receiver 3. I fully expect Khalif Raymond to be named as the wide receiver 3, but what I do expect is that between Jahade Walker, Khalif Raymond, and Zavion Thomas, those guys to offer such different and complementary looks, depending on what we want to do with that game plan each and every week. You're going to see a lot of these guys out there, and I think the snap count balance is going to kind of shift and ebb and flow as the season goes on. But even the fact that we're talking about Zavion at this early on into the situation with the Bears planning on playing this kid and making him a part of the rotation, I think speaks very heavily to how much potential he has in year one to be a fucking factor for this Bears team. And you can't take that away from him. So as he continues to grow as a player and that foundation continues to grow, I think that it's not outside the realm of possibility to start having real expectations for Zavion Thomas and what he can turn into for this Bears team in year one. And let's hope that he can do it. I'm not going to count him out. I'm not going to put a lot on him and say it's going to happen for sure either. But I do think it says and speaks very loudly over what he can turn into by the way that he's being talked about already. It's just up to Zavion to continue to do that. And, to talk about all these things, like this goes back to just how deep and how much talent this Bears team can have on the offensive side of the ball this year. We could be talking about a team that has a plethora of talent, a plethora of different looks, exploits mismatches, and forces opposing defense to have to think so much about what the Bears can do on any given play, on any given drive, that then we take advantage of that. That becomes a part of our identity. That becomes a part of the edge that we have against other teams, is that we can do just about every type of lineup, rotation, and anything that you look at the book. The Bears can throw that at you. And it's up to us to use that as a team now to show we can consistently do that, and that's going to be a weapon for us. But that's enough of me yapping, man. It is mailbag day. It's time to get into these voicemails, man. This first voicemail that we got today, this one's from Mike.
Oh, yes, Chicago Bears Central. What up, guys? This is Mike, the Bear fan. I just wanted to call quickly and say, first of all, I'm not a professional. I never played professional football. I never played even in college. So I'm just speaking from a fan, man, with an opinion. And just my opinion of what I've been hearing from local media and even national media, that the takeaways that the Bears got last season is not repeatable or is unsustainable. Well, in my opinion, I happen to disagree with that, because I think the biggest thing that made the difference is Al Harris. And I think they may have forgotten that point, that Al Harris is the defensive backs coach. And I think with film study and technique and scheme, learning the tendencies of other teams, players, and their formations, and where they like to get the ball, and where the quarterback likes to throw the ball based on certain formations, I think it contributed to them getting those takeaways. So, Hayes, I agree with you. Now you have a Super Bowl safety, and you have one of the best safeties in the draft. And so with that, along with Al Harris, I think it would be the same thing. I believe, in my opinion, that they can get as many takeaways, or probably even more, because you have players that maybe a little bit better back there now. But Al Harris, I believe, is the difference maker in all of this. And if they learn what he has to teach them, and if we get everybody else back healthy, I believe they can do the same thing. And so I think they may have forgotten that point, that, Bayard and the other cat was pretty good, but I think they forgot who was coaching them too. And so the coaching skills or the knowledge doesn't change, even though you might have different players. But if they can continue to just learn from what he has to teach them, I think we can repeat that. So that's just my opinion as a fan. Look, man, hey, Chicago up and Bear down. I cannot wait for the season to come in. All right. You guys have a wonderful and blessed day.
Here's the thing. I completely get what you're saying, right? So I'm not saying that you're crazy for the way that you went about that, but I do think just inherently betting on takeaways is not something that's sustainable. Like, you don't want to bet so much of your defensive pluses being takeaways. Yeah, you could still coach to it. And I think the Bears, they've already said it. They're still going to coach to get takeaways and go after them when you can. But I just think that inherently it's not something that you want to bet on is going to sustain from year to year. You want more functionality to your defense, right? So, like, as you said, like, it's a variable. Takeaways are a variable you can't always control, right? So you want to do more things that are fundamental, that are functional, and that you can control. You want to do those things better and more consistently. And I think that's what the Bears are really going to be focused on, is doing those type of things more consistently, more functionally, and that's where it's going to help at. And then if you still coach to takeaways, even if you don't lead the league in takeaways, but you still get quite a bit of them, it helps that as well. So I think that that's the thing. Yeah, they're going to coach the takeaways, but you need to be more functional and more dated things that are more sustainable day to day in your performance to truly make that next step defensive. I think that's where you get a lot of the talk around the Bears and the takeaways, and the fact that you don't want to bet on takeaways for a second year to be your thing for your defense. At least this is my personal opinion, Mike, but great voicemail as always. All right, let's get into this next voicemail, man. We got this one. This one's from Darius.
What's happening, guys? Darius from Dallas, man. I just got a few topics I want to wrap with you about. First one being, do you think that we legitimately just don't have guys on this defensive line that can rush the passer? Or is it more so we just didn't have the opportunity, because we just couldn't stop the run? And in clutch situations, when teams need to score, hell, they just put the ball on the ground. So we never really had as many bites at the apple, if you will. So do you think just simply fixing the defense, the run defense in particular, and just having more chances to rush the passer. Like, is that really what it's about? Like, do we have the guys and we just need more opportunities, or is it just we just ain't got nobody to rush the passer? I'm kind of curious to see what you think about that. Second thing, really the main thing I want to talk about is Caleb, because I just feel like people being a little too hard on him in the sense, not in a negative way, but in the sense of like with this whole completion percentage thing, because it's like on one hand we admire him for not throwing many interceptions. Okay, well, one thing that he does to prevent that is throw the ball away. So it's like you want him to be at a 70% completion, but you want him to continue to protect the ball the way that he does. Plus you want him to be at 4,000 yards, and then you probably want 35, 40 touchdowns. So it's like, I just think the completion percentage is a good goal to aim for, but it's like, okay, which one do you want? Do you want that Brett Favre gunslinger who's going to have 50 touchdowns, but he's going to have more interceptions? Or do you want a guy that's a little bit more like a Brock Purdy who's just not going to, not going to put the ball at risk too much? It's like you want some kind of superhuman quarterback. And I'm like, I think Caleb might be at that point by year 4 or 5. But I just don't think it's realistic to put that much on this guy and say, hey, we want a 70% completion percentage, still want you to protect the ball. Like the primary way that he protects the ball is throwing it away. So what do you want him to do? You want him to not throw the ball away and just start taking more chances? Like that's going to lead to more interceptions. So I don't know if it's realistic to expect a 70% completion percentage without the interceptions going up as well. Now, I'm okay with the interceptions going up if if the result is more touchdowns, more scoring. But I just want to be a little bit more realistic with him. He's doing good. Let's not overwhelm him. Texas up, bear down.
I think that we don't have guys that we can trust to get to the quarterback. It's consistent enough, right? We can talk about frequency, but I'll tell you this, if you aren't good, even in getting more opportunities for sacks, if you're just not good, it's actually going to blow your team up a little bit more. So yeah, the Bears not being a good run stopping team, it hurts all that too. But I don't think that you can necessarily say that just because they weren't a great run stopping team and they got less opportunities as a sack, that's why their pass rush was so bad. I don't think that, right? I just don't think that you can have that because you can get blown up more if you're not consistent in your pass rush, right? So I think the Bears, they just don't have a consistent pass rush based off what we saw last year. Now, Austin Booker was hurt. Hopefully, Javon takes another step. Hopefully that happens. Hopefully, Grady Jarrett, now that he's fully healthy, has a much better second year for the Chicago Bears than his first year here. Hopefully, you see guys like Jordan Vandenberg make an impact, and you have better depth with Kentavious Street, Neville Gallimore, like those type of things. All are things that can help the Bears be more consistent in their execution on both the run game and the pass rush. And if you get those things, hopefully it goes hand in hand, and you just see a much better team and a much better execution from your team overall that leads you to just being a better, more consistent defense. But as far as Caleb Williams' completion percentage, it's not just a gimmick. Like it's a thing there, right? Like I'm not going to act like him throwing the ball away contributes to. There's a lot of quarterbacks that throw the ball away that play smart. They don't have a 58% completion percentage, right? A lot of the Caleb Williams completion percentage comes down to the drop passes that plays a part into it, and the missed gimmies. These are things that Ben Johnson has pointed out. These are things Caleb Williams has talked about. And so, no, I don't think his completion percentage is all of a sudden low because he throws the ball away, because you can still do that and not throw interceptions, right? Like, yeah, that's going to affect you. Most smart quarterbacks do also avoid, not just because you have a high completion percentage doesn't mean you're going to have a high number of interceptions if you're playing smart. So I get what you're getting at with that, but I think you're kind of making a false equivalency to saying that because he throws it away and doesn't throw interceptions, it means that the completion percentage is going to be as low as what it is. 58% is not indicative of what you think of an elite quarterback. It's just not. And I'm just being fair in me, even in my Bears fandom. It's just not fair. For example, Drake May last year had a 72% completion percentage, 31 touchdowns, only had 8 interceptions, one less than Caleb Williams, right? So that's a reality. Josh Allen, 69% completion percentage, with 10 interceptions, 25 touchdowns. Yeah, more than Caleb Williams, but his completion percentage also was 10 percentage points higher. So like I said, I completely understand what you're getting at, but I don't think that you can necessarily just say because his interception number is low, that means that the completion percentage is going to be low as well. Those two things really don't go hand in hand in that for me. You still got to be smart in how and what you do, at least my personal opinion. All right, let's get into this last voicemail, man. This one's from Keys.
Yo, what's good, CBC? It's your boy Keys, man. Hope all is well with you guys. With that being said, let's get to it. Hayes, I just watched the episode today. As always, man, another phenomenal show, might I add, my brother. But I'm in total agreement with you on the Bears fans wanting a savior for this pass rush. Look, this is what we're dealing with. This is what we got to go into the season with, okay? Now, do I agree with the move that Ryan Poles made? No. But I understand it, too, because in a couple of years, we're going to have to pay a couple of guys. And then also, if you look at next year's free agency, there's going to be guys that are going to be available. I've already took a look at it. You know what I'm saying? So those are some guys that may chase with the money and with the team that we have, and we're ready and if we're positioned to get to the Super Bowl, which I think we will be, it's going to be better in 2027. I know we're looking at 2026 right now, but so be it. It is what it is with that. But I also had a thought, man. Everybody talking about who's going to be the number one receiver between Rome and Luther. And last year, if we remember, Rome was that guy. He was that number one. DJ wasn't getting the ball as much, and then Luther was getting a few touches here and there. And then we also had to implement Cole and Colston. This year, I don't care who it is, because I think equally for both of them, who's ever got the hot hand is going to get the ball. But I think if we're talking about number one person, it's always going to be Colston Loveland. He's always going to have a mismatch. He's always going to be a guy that we can go to, you know, and I expect him to take that leap and be a Travis Kelce 2.0. Every time I just see the videos and everything like that, and being a Michigan fan and watching him, dude is just, you know, he guaranteed to get you a catch. He guaranteed to make a play. So I look for that leap. And then when it comes to, you know, Rome and Luther, man, we got an abundance of freaking talent that I believe that Caleb is going to flourish with this year. You also got to remember, we also got Zavion Thomas, and we got Khalif Raymond, and we got Jahdae Walker. Then you look at the running backs, we got DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai. So everything is available for our receiving core, from the running backs to wide receivers, tight ends, to flourish. Along with, I forgot about Cole Kmet. So, you know, long as we do what we got to do, I think the abundance of talent that we have on offense is going to excel. And we're going to see what it do, man. As always, let me know what you think. Shot-town up, Bear Down. Keep doing your thing, fellas.
Yeah, two things can be true at the same time. Ryan Poles didn't make a major adjustment or investment with either money or draft picks in the edge in the defensive line other than Jordan Vandenberg, right? But you're also right. The upcoming class, both in free agency and the upcoming class in the draft, could be very strong in regards to this, right? So I think the Bears have a really good chance to add to their pass rush as needed next season. We're going to get to see a full season of Austin Booker this year and what his growth and development continues to look like. And those are all good things. As far as the Rome Odunze and stuff, like, I definitely think Bears fans are overlooking Rome. And, you know, that's the thing I always go at with Bears fans is that they like to criticize without really looking at the context. There's so many people that have kind of turned on Rome Odunze and forget, like, he was playing hurt for a large chunk of the season last year, even before he turned around and missed some games. So Rome, Luther, Colston Loveland, Cole Kmet, Jahdae Walker, Khalif Raymond, Zavion Thomas, like all these guys, even the running backs, they're going to have a place in this passing game. I think they're going to have a very big role in that this year. And the Bears are going to have a lot of weapons, a lot of ability to attack. And I think what we're going to see is really fun for the Chicago Bears team this upcoming season, right? But that's going to do it for today, man. That's going to do it for this episode of Chicago Bears Central. I want to thank you to all the callers. I want to hear from you guys. How do you feel about all the topics in regards to Zavion Thomas, the offense overall, Colston Loveland going to tight end university? Then also respond to anything you feel on the voicemails as well. Leave that down below in the comment section. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel as well. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode or an upload. You can follow us at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Like I like to end everyone, Chi-Town up, Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has has been a presentation of the Break Media.